Over the years, marketers have been analyzing the different generations, baby boomers, Gen X, millennials, and recently we have seen there's a red thread among all of them: speed. They all want everything to happen now. My name is Francisco Serrano, and I am the Chief Speed Officer at 121 and the host of the Now Gen podcast. Join me. Each episode, we talk about what's happening with brands, see how brand professionals across different industries cope with this fast-changing market, and live up to the expectation of this now generation. Welcome.
This episode is brought to you by 121, the fastest day-to-day design, content, and digital studio. 121 has been the premier partner for many Fortune 500 companies, proving that tight deadlines shouldn't be a hassle.
Thank you, and welcome to the Now Gen podcast, everybody. Today, we're going to talk about something that is very relatable to me. When I was growing up, sci-fi would mean for me to go into the movies or somewhere else to lose myself and just get out of reality. But nowadays, I don't know about you, but technology, sci-fi is the day-to-day. Technology has peaked, and just AI, it's more and more common. I mean, we see it with many websites that do designs it's incredible what's happening out there. And there's a lot of technology going around, and people just don't know it, don't know what's going on behind the scenes, and especially how all of the brands that are interacting, how do they communicate with consumers, and they interact among one another. So for that, we brought an expert, somebody that knows what's going on and will explain to us what's this world all about. Well, his name is Don McGuire. He's the Chief Marketing Officer for Qualcomm. He will share what's the marketing world in a technological success, and how does it look for us normal humans that don't understand what's going on. Thank you very much for being in this podcast, Don.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Great. So before we get into the nitty-gritty of things, tell us a little bit about Don and what is Qualcomm all about, and what do you guys do?
Sure. Well, thanks for the intro. So yes, Don McGuire, Chief Marketing Officer at Qualcomm. If you know who we are, or if you've heard of us before, then you may know that we're the company that's sort of connecting everyone and everything in a more intelligently way through our roadmap and our products and our technology, which is so pervasive. We started out historically in the mobile or smartphone space. And really sort of the core DNA of the company was connecting, your phone to the internet way back when. But since that time, we've really diversified and grown our business exponentially into more and more product categories and more industries. And so the way that we kind of describe ourselves from a diversification standpoint now and going into the future is really about this idea of everything is becoming smarter and more connected. And we're bringing the kind of the triad of always on, hyper fast, bandwidth and speeds of connectivity, whether it's 5G connectivity, whether it's Wi-Fi 6E, Wi-Fi 7 connectivity, or even Bluetooth connectivity. Add to that low power, high performance compute capabilities, and on device or intelligence at the edge, or AI at the edge. So all three of those things together combined into our platforms really is what is enabling this more smart and connected world, whether it's other devices that are in your personal life, or whether it's things around you from a work environment perspective, an industry perspective, or even a smart city or municipality perspective. The technology is making its way into more and more things and connecting more and more environments. So that's sort of the Qualcomm story going forward into the future, and it's a pretty exciting one.
It's exciting, and I'm sure it's complicated. We're not going to be able to touch everything about that. But before we dive into that, I want to dig, because I mean, you're a superstar right now, Qualcomm, heading one of the important companies in technology in the world. And how did you get to where you're at today?
Oh, how did I get here? I wake up every day asking myself that question. No, actually, I've been in tech my entire career. I started my career in sales, which I believe everyone should have to do a little sales in their life. It teaches you a lot about how to handle rejection and really how to talk about a product and how to convince people that what you're selling is something they should buy. And so I started my career in sales. I've been in the kind of the wireless industry historically, and then I moved into a broader sort of technology segment as I grew up within the marketing ranks. But I've been a tech marketer my entire career, and what's important about that is that even though you need to understand the fundamentals of marketing, you need to understand the 4 Ps. You need to understand about programmatic and data driven and consumer behavior, or your audience behavior, or being audience led versus product led, all those types of things. In tech, you really also need to understand your product really, really well. So that's been something that I've kind of prided myself on as I've moved up through the ranks, and have spent a number of years with mobile operators, a number of years on the consumer electronics device side of things, and then also then more recently on the amazing technology that powers all these amazing devices, which is the sort of the semiconductor or the chip side of technology, from previously being at Intel for about 5.5 years, and then moving to Qualcomm about 6.5 years ago, becoming CMO in July of 2021.
And how does technology? I mean, you talk about technology, and I mean, a lot about that, and you're telling us that you need to love it really to understand it, to manage it, and to really make an influence in the market. But how does a brand become relevant? A technology brand become relevant in the ever-changing world of technology? Can I become irrelevant in a month or in a year? Is that fast changing? Because I mean, processor 1.2, 2.3, 3.5. Is that how can you become relevant as a brand?
Yeah, well, innovation is moving very quickly, especially in certain product categories and industries. So keeping up with that and always being on the forefront of that is really important, no matter what your brand or who you are. But if you look at things like that's going on right now with regards to technology as it relates to marketing, we are seeing a very, very quick cycle of things coming in and then going out. I'll give you an example of that. For example, NFTs. Right, NFTs was probably one of the quickest acronyms to be accepted and talked about and buzzed about, and as well as one of the quickest to kind of be forgotten. I've never seen an acronym fall into favor and out of favor quite as fast as NFTs. So things are moving pretty fast. And as we get into this Web3 hyper-connected environment, where we're increasingly focused on personalization, people are increasingly focused on their little worlds, their digital worlds, and what that world looks like, both as they walk through their life or move through their life with their smartphone devices and their other devices, as they get into their cars, right, and drive a smarter, more connected, more intelligent vehicle, or while they move through their environments and they expect that the things they interact with to be able to give feedback to them, or to be able to be communicated with in whole new ways. So to remain relevant in that world, it's really important that you have some fundamentals, and that first understand your audience first and foremost. And I believe heavily in being audience led in everything that you do. I have the unique opportunity and challenge at Qualcomm of having a brand, which is Qualcomm, our master brand, the name of the company, which my primary audiences for that brand are business to business audiences, regulators, investors, customers, and ecosystem. But I have the Snapdragon brand, which is a more consumer facing brand that we focus on a subset of Gen Pop and really push that brand story to tech influencers These are consumers who love to talk about technology, who love to understand what's powering their devices or their digital life, and are sort of into that sort of thing. So I get to bifurcate, and my team gets to bifurcate on what we do, both in a B2B world as well as in a more B2C world, depending on the brand and the story and the value proposition. So, so within that context, it's really important that I understand where the Qualcomm brand needs to evolve to as innovation continues to happen, as the world continues to change. And I have to look at things like what regulators are doing to regulate technology, and how does the Qualcomm brand or the Qualcomm story either fit within that, or do we have to adapt to that? On the Snapdragon side, we introduce a new Snapdragon platform, whether it's for smartphones or wearables or XR devices or cars, or PCs, pretty much every 6 months, and with new features and enabling new experiences across camera, AI, gaming, and et cetera, et cetera. So that moves really, really fast. So I have to be able to, and my team has to be able to evolve the story for that next generation, that next iteration of what the technology can do to deliver the experiences to the target audience. So it's a lot, and there's a lot going on, but you have some fundamental principles: being audience-led, making sure you have a clear idea of your value proposition, what is your USP in the marketplace, and then you have to be flexible enough to be able to change and move at the speed of technology, and at the speed of the environment and the society around you that you're trying to operate within.
And talking about the USP and all the different disciplines that you need to have, not just be a technology company, because what, from your perspective, what is the difference of a marketing campaign in a technology company?
Well, I mean, one of the challenges I have is I don't sell a product that you can buy, right? So a consumer can't go on into a store, whether it's online or offline, and pick up a Snapdragon.
With Snapdragon, yeah.
Right. So I have a challenge in that what I make and what I'm selling and the story I'm telling is about how what I do and what my product does, or our products do, is enable other products to be great, or be better, or be more. And so that changes a lot of things for me as it relates to Snapdragon. The marketing mix is different, and how I approach building Snapdragon, building awareness, preference, consideration, purchase intent, all the way through the funnel for Snapdragon. My marketing mix is going to look different than a marketing mix for a Coca-Cola, right? Or for some consumer brand where it's more about getting people to want to walk into a store or go online, buy your product, take it off the shelf, consume it directly, right? And then repeat that process. So that's a little bit different of an exercise than what I have. So the unique challenge that I have is, I spent 5.5 years at Intel prior to joining Qualcomm. So I'm very familiar with the Intel Inside model, which is how do you take an ingredient brand and make it relevant directly to consumer? Intel did that brilliantly for 25 to 30 years. And the thing that changed was the center of the digital universe moved from the PC to the smartphone. And so the brand itself became less and less relevant because it didn't sit at the center of people's lives anymore. What's sat at the center of people's lives is their smartphone. So that provides a unique opportunity for Snapdragon today. But looking to the future, as more and more devices become smarter and connected, and Snapdragon lives at the center of those, powering these amazing experiences, how do we tell that story? So my marketing mix is different. How I look at where I tell the story, I have to partner with my partners. I've got an amazing opportunity in front of me because I have the most amazing brand partners, right? From Louis Vuitton to Cadillac to Samsung. I have these amazing brands that utilize my platforms, our technology and our platforms in Snapdragon. And so working with them to help them tell their story through our story, or tell my story through their story, is something that is a big part of my marketing mix. And that's kind of unique because I think in the past, brands have been very hesitant to collaborate together or share the spotlight or share the storytelling, because I think old thinking that prevailed was, if I let somebody else tell their story at the same time I'm telling mine, then my story is diminished. That couldn't be further from the truth, right? you can 1 + 1 can equal 3 or 5 or 10. You can collaborate on storytelling that's not going to deter from your brand, but to actually help enhance your brand by partnering with other people that is helping to make your value proposition actually come to life. So I work really closely, my team works really closely with all of our partners to help them tell their story by telling our story. In some cases, like in the case of Louis Vuitton, for example, they are a luxury brand. They are known for making beautiful pieces of art that you wear, right, or that you have in your life, whether it's through luggage or through jewelry or through bags or through clothing, but they're not a tech brand. So when they want to introduce smartwatches or smart speakers or pieces of technology that are wrapped in a beautiful Louis Vuitton package, we bring them credibility. Because if they can say, well, yes, I'm introducing a smartwatch, and yes, I'm not a technology brand, so what does Louis Vuitton know about delivering technology in a watch? Oh, but this smartwatch, it's powered by Snapdragon. So that brings them instant credibility into the world. And then I can leverage that as well in telling my story. Hey, Snapdragon platforms power the Louis Vuitton Tambour smartwatch. And again, so it works both ways. And it's really an amplification exercise. It's really both boats kind of lift everything. And so that's a unique position, I think, that, somebody who has a product like we have with Snapdragon gets to take advantage of, but also it creates a different way to think about how we market. And it brings a bigger spotlight on the fact that we have to work with partners in order to ultimately succeed at getting our story out there.
Yeah. Recently when you were talking about what do you guys do and how you interact, I enjoyed your Qualcomm's recent campaign, The Edge of Possible.
Right.
It's great. And I want to bring out, like the suspense about AI, because everybody's like AI, they will control the world in the future. Right. How does AI come into play to transform technology into the edge of possible?
So the brief for The Edge of Possible, it's really about, it's a 3-chapter story, or maybe 4. And it's really about bringing the 3 pieces of the recipe that I mentioned earlier on telling the Qualcomm story around the connected intelligent edge to life. The first chapter of that story is around intelligence, or AI. And in the brief was, okay, so we need to talk about our leadership in AI at the edge, or on-device AI. And then at the same time, we also need to humanize AI, because AI is not killer robots coming down from Mars to take us all out, right? Right. AI is actually, if it's implemented for good and implemented in the right way, it's really about using intelligence to help enhance your experience. You're still in control, but as you allow your behaviors to be put into algorithms, and those algorithms to then create a better experience for you based on those behaviors, where you don't have to think about it anymore. It's about creating that enhanced experience and really humanizing AI. Because if I can save 60 seconds a day by not having to think about remembering my settings I have in my vehicle driver's side seat, because AI has actually done that work for me over time. And now when I get into my car, it just configures it to me because it knows it's me. That can save, 1 minute times 365 days a year, right? That you drive your car. That's, 365 minutes a year that you've now gotten back into your life. And the one commodity that we can't really buy more of is time, right? So if you look at AI as world enhancing or experience enhancing, where you're still in control, but you are using intelligence to make the experience better, that is kind of the AI that we're talking about, or delivering things faster to you or more complete to you. And there's lots of buzz around ChatGPT and Stable Diffusion and all these large language models that are kind of, people are playing with now on their phones. And, people are using them to write papers and emails and things like that. And there's lots of back and forth going on around them. But it is really about creating this faster, delivery, of experience that's more personalized to that user, whoever that might be. I mean, in marketing, right, the holy grail is right message, right person, right time, right place, right, in a really personalized manner. Well, this is what AI is going to do. This is what generative AI is going to do for marketers. If done right, it's going to enable marketers to do a better job of targeting at a level that we've never been able to target before. And so really, we are really excited about that. It has to happen across the chain of connectivity and device to cloud. It can't happen all in the cloud and then come back. It can't happen all on device, but it's going to have to be a combination of the two. So think of it as split AI. So when you think about all those possibilities, what we wanted to do is we wanted to start building our story around how we have developed so much AI technology, and it's out there in billions of devices already, probably being utilized in making your photographs better in your camera, or your music sound better on your earbuds, or whatever. But we've got that story to tell, and then we wanted to bring a more human side of it so that people understand that it's not really about killer robots. It's about making experiences better and enhancing those. So when we looked at that, we decided, how do we best humanize AI? Well, we should use a human. So in the campaign brief, it was about, let's find a human who we believe is very, very in touch with, with on trend, modern, evolved, tech savvy, and really had a lot of synergies with their story and the Qualcomm story. And so when we were looking through bios of different options, when we got to Michelle Yeoh, we all looked in the room at each other and said, that's it, go get Michelle. She's perfect for this. And we're so happy that she agreed to do this with us and come along on our journey as we continue to tell this story. We've got a 3-year agreement with Michelle. We're going to be introducing new chapters of the Qualcomm story by using her and her voice and her unique sense of humor and her presence to build that narrative across intelligence, but not only AI, across compute and high performance, low power processing, and then also around connectivity. So that's going to be the full gamut of the storytelling effort with Michelle. And we're starting and rooting ourselves in AI first and foremost, and then we'll move on from there. So really pleased with the campaign so far. It's targeted at business decision makers. So it is a more B2B campaign. And we are so excited about what the results have been to date. And then of course, we're ultimately very excited for Michelle and her latest award season run, including on Sunday when she won the Oscar, which was just,
I know, it was
right
kind of boom. It was awesome. I was like, Don should be happy right now, right?
Yeah, I was very happy, very, very happy, and just happy for her, right? Because what a long overdue collection of recognition for her.
Yeah. And tell me, Don, just briefly, because you were talking about, as you were talking about, the devices, cloud, and everybody coming together to do this AI, and AI is going to be a player in the game. So I want to bring to the offline conversation you and I had before the interview about, the instant gratification and the now generation. So it's scary how satisfied you are going to make me feel, understanding everything I need, delivering it in the moment I need it, and having every device think, not like in Mars that it's going to kill me, but to provide me with whatever I needed when I need it, even before I think it.
Possibly.
Do you think that? Do you think that it's going in that direction?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a combination. Again, I think the important thing is that you have to be in control, right? Whether the you is you as a person, whether the you is a task or something that a machine is performing or an ecosystem is doing, you have to be in control of that. And then you have to utilize AI to enhance whatever that experience that you want to have. If it's anticipation that you want, right? More proactive anticipation, sure, allow that, create the environment for that to happen because you want it to anticipate your needs so you don't have to. But then there's also just, hey, I want to continue to make my experience better. So I'm going to continue to feed it information as my likes, dislikes, behaviors, preferences change, so it can always keep up with me, right? And that's another way we can utilize it in this world of delivering better experiences. And as I said before, if you can save a few seconds or a few minutes out of every day across these tasks that you're constantly engaged in, those minutes add up to hours, those hours add up to days, and those days add up to years. And that's one thing we all want more of, right? We all want more time to spend with our families, our friends, to do things that we never thought we could do, to engage in new hobbies, to take trips or whatever it is. If you can get that much time back for your life, or your business, making it more efficient, delivering things faster in a more effective way, those are all really positive impacts. Of course, this all has to be done in a very sustainable manner. And I think one of the things that, again, we bring to the party, the AI party, so to speak, is about low power and long battery, because these big AI models cannot work, right, just by pulling power off the grid in large amounts with every instance of ChatGPT going to the data center. That's an unsustainable economic model, and it's an unsustainable power grid model. And that's not a very ESG friendly story. So one of the other things that we're excited about is our ability to deliver these types of experiences in a very low power consumption way, so that we're not sucking the power grid dry while we're improving everybody's lives and enhancing everyone's experiences. Because that's one of the things that we all have to be cognizant of, and we have to look at as we go on this journey on how AI is going to continue to create opportunities to enhance our experiences.
Oh, that's awesome. And when you were talking about, facilitating and being part of the whole interaction of the needs of consumers, do you foresee speed decreasing in importance or prioritizing from us consumers, or do you think that it's going to be the same important that it is now?
I think context will be important here, right? I think that there are some things that we all wish could just happen quicker and more efficient in our lives, from standing in line at the DMV to right, to waiting online for.
So that you feel and you think that that's not going to change, that's going to remain. So we're not going to have that. No, let's stay in the DMV and enjoy life and meditate.
Right. I'd love for if we could just make the DMV experience better.
That would be just awesome.
Talk about getting hours of your life back, right? So, but it's the example is really made to kind of make a point, which is it is about context. I mean, in some ways, we want things to slow down, right? There's a lot going on in our lives, and technology has infiltrated virtually every part of our lives, and so there's always going to be this balance of not getting out of balance, but I think one could create the other, meaning if you can do things more efficiently and create the opportunity for you to have more time, you can then slow things down for yourself in ways that you never could before. And again, it's all that quote unquote perceived time wasted that doesn't enable you to have enough time in the day to do the things that you want to do. So you're constantly rushing through to try to, again, accomplish as much as you can. If you can cut into that using intelligence and using the tools that technology can bring to the world, you can actually create the opportunity for you to slow down, to enjoy things, in a more compelling way, and to get off the hamster wheel, right? And so I think that one could beget the other, and that's the secret sauce and the secret recipe that we're all trying to figure out. It's exciting. It's an exciting place to be. I've had several conversations with all sorts of thought leaders around this idea, and I think that the building blocks are there. And so it's going to be really exciting to see what happens over the next 2 to 4 years. But if we can deliver back to people's days meaningful time, we could utilize speed in a whole new way, and really make our lives more efficient.
Yeah, and what I see different now, because remember that a while ago, the Internet of Things, and it really didn't push it, and it was awesome, and you see a lot of technology going into that, but now I mean, as a consumer, not as an expert, I'm no expert in this field, but as a consumer, I feel it in the fingertip. I see it everywhere. And I think it's just not going anywhere. And all brands, Louis Vuitton and all this are buying into this. So everybody wants a piece of the game. And I think that itself is going to push the whole thing to the next level. And it's going to make a difference in our lives, and hopefully for the best, right? Because right now there's a lot of dehumanizing out there. Don't do it. Go and eat a apple or whatever, and kind of I'm a tech kind of guy. I love what technology can do for you, and I'm a pusher of that type of development of the human race and
Right.
into the next level. So kudos for all the effort that you guys are doing and making all this happen. I think that you guys are going to take us to a different level.
Well, I really appreciate that. And we're excited about the opportunity. Like I said, it's, the important thing to remember is you can't live on the extremes, right? You have to provide balance. When you try to live on the extremes, that's where everyone gets themselves in trouble. And so, as we've seen in the political environment that we live in today,
Oh my God.
and so we if we can provide balance and come back to that middle ground and be pragmatic, and take a human-centric approach to these types of big problems and challenges, I think a lot of good can come out of that. So really excited about the opportunity. And thank you for your confidence in us as a technology leader. There is a lot that we can do, still more to come, and which is why I love my job so much. And I wake up every day, even if I have a bad day, I still love my job.
Yeah, and it's all about giving, and a rock star like you that has this, the story behind and coming from big companies, and now you're influencing and changing the world as we know it. There are brand owners and leaders that are listening to you right now. What would be, before we end this conversation, that I know you're very busy, what would be the key takeaway of how to handle a brand when you have a challenge that is, that you are not the only one in the market, and it's technology oriented? What are your takeaway of everything that you've spoken here today?
Well, I think as a marketer, I would just be aware of a couple things. First, avoid chasing the shiny objects. I think it's great to experiment, and I know that people are experimenting in the metaverse, and people are experimenting with NFTs, and they're experimenting with Web3, and there's a lot of experimentation going on, and that's fantastic. But avoid the shiny objects, avoid the short-term fads that may fizzle out. You still have to base your decisions on fundamentals, but really look at how the world is going to change over the horizon, over the next 2, 4, 6 years. And I mentioned this earlier about right place, right time, right message, personalized way. That is coming. The technology is going to enable you as a brand to be able to better target whatever you want to do to increase both uptake or attachment or engagement with that audience, but also ROI, at the other end, in what your marketing effort is. Whether it's, I want to target this subset of people inside this building right now with a particular message because I know they are, more inclined to like my product. They're ready for an upgrade, right? They're whatever, because of all these tools. All this technology enables you to have that capability. And on the other side of that, you're reaching them in an environment where they're accepting of you, right? Because it's all about being where people want you to be, not forcing yourself on them. So the fundamentals are important. The long-term tool sets are coming. And so stay up to speed with that innovation cycle and what's going on. And then I would just say kind of avoid the shiny objects and avoid the fads, but continue to iterate and experiment. At the end of the day, we're marketers, we're storytellers. So how, where, when, why, to who do we tell that story to? And then what is the outcome of that storytelling is what we're all chasing, right? And I think the next 2 to 4 years of technology innovation is going to make marketers' jobs super exciting, and enable us as marketers to deliver better for not only our audience or our consumer, whoever that might be, but also back to our business.
Great. I think that is important to note, because many people think that, oh, you're going to get your job away. But if you use it correctly, you can really, if I'm a brand and I want to expose or get to know and push a little bit further and get to know the market, I'm going to have the tools, like you say, and don't go for the shiny objects. Well, thank you very much, Don, for your insight and your takeaway. We need to wrap this one up, but thank you very much for being here with us, Don. Anywhere that people want to reach out to you, where can they do so?
Sure. I mean, they can, if they just want to follow me on Twitter, they can follow me at Donnie Mac. And then they can reach out to me at Qualcomm.com. And I'm happy to engage. I'm also on LinkedIn.
LinkedIn,
So
okay.
they can message me on LinkedIn as well. And so I'm happy to engage.
Excellent. Thank you again. Well, we've been talking to Don McGuire. He's the Chief Marketing Officer at Qualcomm. Don, thank you very much for being here with us. And if you want to get on top of what brands are doing to cope with the changing market of the now generation, do not, and I repeat, do not miss the next episode. Thank you very much, and I see you all then.
Thank you.